So this is my comprehensive Apple Studio Display review after using it extensively for color grading and working over the last week or so. As a reference, I'm coming from the Apple Thunderbolt Display from 2011, which in itself is also a great workhorse of a display. But right now it has some major problems with connectivity and the new Apple Ventura update. But before we dive deep into the Studio Display with all of its advantages and disadvantages, and then finish up with a conclusion at the end and who this display is actually for, as the title says, we need to experience the Apple unboxing experience well beforehand. Let's take a quick look over the aesthetics of the design and then go fully into the details and what I like about the Studio Display itself. And let's be honest, this is ridiculously well crafted in its simplicity. Everything fits together nicely and all the measurements and little curves are so refreshing in a sea of plastic displays. It becomes easy to create a nice place for you to work in comfortably, where you can think and come down and focus on the tasks ahead of you. I had about a week now with the display and made multiple projects on it, including animations, color grading, writing and also, well, plain relaxing before it. And it was great. And this mostly comes down to the specs themselves. The Studio Display comes in with 27-inch with a 5K resolution, 600 nits of peak brightness, which is good, but not HDR good. One Thunderbolt port for data and power connection to your Mac, which is in my opinion the best thing overall. Being able to do everything with a single cable is so much more hassle-free than, let's say, with my old Thunderbolt display and this weird double cable Firewire dongle connection thingy. There are also 3 USB-C ports on the back, an integrated webcam with center stage functionality, which is powered by the A13 Bionic Processor, which in my opinion is an absolute overkill for a monitor, even though it does also power Siri, spatial audio, the ambient light sensor and the mics. As said before, connection from the display to the Mac is super easy. You just plug the single black Thunderbolt cable into your USB-C port and everything from data to power, 96 watts of power in total to be precise, is instantaneously delivered to and between your devices. And by instantaneously I mean this is seriously fast. Boot up times roughly 5 seconds faster than with my previous monitor. It's just boot up times. But over time this is something I'm going to miss when reverting back to the Thunderbolt display. Also, what I've actually forgot to mention when talking about speed are the external USB-C ports on the back, which deliver up to 10 gigabits per second and are perfect for usage with larger file sizes on external hard drives. Or while connecting maybe another dock with 10 gigabits per second read-write speeds to it to have even more 10 gigabits. Mwah. It's just a pleasure to work with speed actually. Now when it comes to the display itself, this is just a regular glass version and in my opinion there is no need for upgrading to the nano texture variant when you are not working in a super bright office setting or directly in front of a window or something. The version you are seeing right now is also the standard tilting stand, but there are other options available such as the VESA mount or a height adjustable version. But for my taste the regular suits my workflow fine. A small caveat is that you need to make the purchasing decision actually before ordering. There is no way to upgrade from the standard to the adjustable version after actually ordering. This could have been made better in my opinion, maybe in the next version of the display in 2028 or something. When it comes to the design of the display, I actually adore it. I'm a person who loves working on small screens, mobile somewhere to get some space for themselves. I don't need fancy stuff around me like a mouse or a keyboard or even a monitor. Wow. But this display really triggered my itch for sitting down in front of it, working in a dedicated spot to oogle at the raw output of power and colors it can deliver with all of its very precise, well, color reproduction modes, especially for video work. Simply said, playing with colors became fun again, and the space and efficiency working in 5K resolution over 2 different displays at the same time, well, it's just a very pure and actually freeing feeling. But to be honest, the bezels themselves, the typical black bars around every display from Apple so far, have shrunk in size compared to the Thunderbolt 2011 display, but they are still very noticeable and kinda intrusive. I'm sure that this is a definitive decision made by Apple's engineers, but in my opinion, thinner in this case would have been better. Speaking of thinner, the screen resolution of the display has a max resolution of 5120 by 2880 pixels, which is clearly enough pixels to actually work with, and this comes down to having 280 pixels per inch in a 27-inch display. But this now actually brings me to my first critique with the Studio Display, and in this case, a thingy in the display itself. I don't get why this is no ProMotion display with 120 Hz, like the panels you get in your regular MacBooks or your iPads or your iPhones nowadays. It would have been great being able to have this as an option on your main grading monitor, or for especially animation work, especially when dropping down the frame rates, seeing frame rates at like real 12 frames per second like in animation. This would have made a huge difference in perspective and workflow. And finally, let's talk about the sound coming from the internal speakers of the Studio Display, and I have to say, they sound good. It's passable for watching something back, but no way on the same level as a pair of well-dedicated studio monitors, or even a stereo pair of Apple's own HomePods blasts these out of the water. What's lacking in terms of sound is depth. And with depth I probably mean bass, since there aren't any subs integrated. But that is not what I expect from a studio monitor in any way, shape or form. I expect a good image, and this is what it delivers. And now to my last part on the list, the webcam, which is something I actually don't really care about. It does its job in showing a picture, and it can actually track people around the room, which is super weird for me because I don't want people to see what I do outside of my regular frame when I'm in a meeting or so. And this is something, hopefully there's a way to actually... It is a fantastic monitor, and it is a consideration that this was actually built for people like me, who have a multitude of more indie-focused products, content creators and animation in mind. I would really definitely replace the Thunderbolt monitor in the future with it. If this would have actually been, well, my new display. But it was just a 1-week rental from a friend who bought it for his new agency, especially for color grading some movies on it. So unfortunately, I had to return it with a tear in my eye. And now I'm oogling at it day after day on the big Google. It is the most pricey prosumer monitor I've ever had the pleasure of using for daily work. Looking forward to sometime using the XDR, but it ticks all of the right amount of boxes with what it has to offer underneath its display and in front. And isn't this what we actually all strive for in the end? The perfect symbiosis of our external and internal feelings? Well, the display made me actually realize this after just a couple of days of spending some time with it. As always, my name is Leech and I'm off writing the next scripts. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel. There are plenty more of this type of content and of course many other things available for you to watch. Have a great day, see you around, and goodbye.